Hello, everybody. I am MAW General Manager. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I am MAW General Manager Johnny Gomez, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about tonight's show and, of course, next week's show, Madness, as the WarGames teams for those major matches next week have been put together. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where this idea came from, tell you about the WarGames matches in case you don't know the rules of WarGames. Then I'll tell you the teams, and all that will tie into tonight's show in Colorado Springs. So, a few weeks ago, as I was planning out MAW's schedule from here until Hell on Earth, I noticed that we could stop in Chicago. Of course, Hell on Earth is at Soldier Field, where the Chicago Bears play on May 18th and 19th. So I figured one more stop in Chicago before we get there would be kind of cool to get the Chicago crowd pumped. Every year we have a special show in March called Madness for obvious reasons. If you don't know, look it up. If you know, you know. But this year I wanted to do something different. I have been wanting to get the champions and challengers for Hell on Earth in the ring together for the world's titles. But you don't want to give away the major title matches on free television. So instead, I had an idea. We could do War Games. Now, I'm no William Regal. I can't scream War Games like he did. But this is a pretty big moment for MAW. We've had lots of violent stipulations, lots of incredible first-time matches. Hell, in November we had Full Metal Mayhem, which wasn't the exact same as it is from where we got the idea from, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, but it was still pretty big. It was a first-time ever matchup. But we've never been able to do War Games. I decided that if I had the champions and challengers pick a few friends or just partners for one night each, they could go into War Games and have it out, and potentially even fight each other. Now, for those of you who don't know what War Games is, I'm going to walk you through it. A War Games match takes place in two rings, side by side with a steel cage surrounding both rings. There is no roof. Two competitors, one from each team, start in the ring and fight for 5 minutes. After that 5-minute period, the team with the competitor advantage, which we'll talk about in a moment, has a competitor enter the ring. I might have messed up the wording there, but you get it. One of the members of the advantage team comes into the cage, the rings. Then, every 2 minutes, it alternates between the two teams. So, for example, the men's match has 8 people in it total. It will be 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-3, and finally 4-on-4. The women's match will obviously stop at 3-on-3. After all 6 or 8 competitors have entered the cage, the War Games match officially begins, and you can only win by pinfall or submission. There are no rules at all during this matchup. For the first extended time period before all of the competitors are in, you're just beating the hell out of each other until everyone gets in the ring and the match officially starts. There is no escaping the War Games cage. If you do, you forfeit the match for your team. Excuse me. Even general managers have allergies. So that is how War Games will work. Now, on to the teams. MAW Women's World Champion Harley Quinn has decided her 2 partners are 2 people she believes deserve respect in MAW. Ivy Styles, who was number 1 in this year's Royal Rumble and had a hand in eliminating Luna, which surprised everybody, and newcomer Gloria Payne. Gloria, of course, is a big star and a big girl, too. She's tough, and we saw what she can do in some of her early work here and in her debut match against Cassidy Quinn. So we will see if those 2 can earn the respect that Harley says they deserve. Melissa Brazil has gone a completely different direction. After winning back-to-back Rumbles, which has never been done in MAW, she decided that she would pick an established team in the Daughters of Darkness, Ashley Sharp and Ashlyn Rose. They are former women's tag team champions, and they've even said that Melissa seems like a honorary member of that team. So, Harley, Gloria, and Ivy against Melissa, Ashley, and Ashlyn. Now on to the men. Youngest winner of the MAW Royal Rumble ever, Anthony Tank McCarthy, former multiple-time NXT champion, has decided to do a bit of an NXT reunion, and he picked a newcomer. Former NXT champions Eric Lass and Jack Rye, who have been having struggles in their careers recently, will team with Anthony as 2 of his partners. Like I said, a bit of an NXT reunion. The 3 of them were as close as brothers at one point when NXT was still around. and they're all multiple-time NXT champions. Jack Rye is a former World's champion. But Anthony decided to round out his team. He would also pick a newcomer, much like Harley Quinn, and he chose Rip Rivera. Rip hasn't had any on-screen matches, but Tank is said to be very impressed with him backstage and his performance in this year's Rumble where he debuted. World's Heavyweight Champion Austin Anderson has gone a very interesting route. He has chosen 3-time and current tag team champions Mark and Mike Hayes, collectively known as YNF. Austin has been a huge fan of YNF since they debuted a few years ago and thinks they would be great assets in a match like this. For his final partner rounding out his team, he has gone a direction we never thought he'd go again. Last year, his longtime friend Pimpster made his return to MAW the first time in well over 12 to 13 years. And one of the first things he did was turn on Austin Anderson. They used to be the best of friends, closest brothers. Austin has reached out to Pimpster and has reportedly smoothed everything over with him. And for the first time in around a decade and a half, what the team known, formally at least, as the Red Ninjas are back together as Pimpster rounds out Austin's team. So it will be Anthony Tank McCarthy, Eric Lass, Jack Ryan, Rip Rivera taking on Austin Anderson, Mark and Mike Hayes, and Pimpster. Those are your WarGames teams. Massive teams in my opinion. I, as a general manager of MAW who came up with this concept for Madness next week, am very excited. Now, I mentioned that there has to be a competitor advantage. Well, in other companies, you have the advantage matches, where competitors from the teams battle each other to determine who gets the advantage in the match. A popular version of this is the WarGames Advantage ladder match, which will take place tonight in our opening contest, as Pimpster from Team Anderson takes on Eric Lass from Team Tank. These are two men who know ladder matches very well. They're high flyers, and they can be very violent. Pimpster had those two insane matches with Austin last year, the no-holds-barred Iron Man match and the Lion's Den match. He lost both, but he does know violence. And, of course, Eric Lass competed in the first ever, unsanctioned match. Apologies, I almost called it a lights-out match. They're the same thing, but in MAW, the first ever unsanctioned match Eric Lass was in, and he won. So these two can be very intense, and with a briefcase that will hang above the ring that basically just has the man advantage contract inside of it. So the winner of that match gets advantage for their team next week. In our main event, we will see all of the competitors that Harley and Melissa have chosen in just a simple tornado tag team match, as Ivy and Gloria test how they can do as a team against the established team of Ashley and Ashlyn, the Daughters of Darkness. Not a ladder match, just an MAW-style tag team match, which, of course, I decreed are all tag team matches from now on to make sure they come to an end. The ladder match will have a 30-minute time limit, as will the main event. It is a special occasion, of course. Though, again, just a reminder, the winners will set the tone for WarGames next week, as their team will have the competitor advantage going into those matches. Tonight, we are live from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Those two matches may be the only matches on the card because we're just trying to set up next week's show. Next week, of course, we are in Chicago, Illinois at the Allstate Arena for MAW Madness, where we will see the women's WarGames match and the men's WarGames match broken up by an empty arena match, another first for MAW, as JT Anderson and Neos Diablo continue their intense rivalry with yet another brutal chapter. Don't forget as well, next month, April, we haven't set the date yet, but we will be in the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada for Fool's Gold, a special event where we will determine number one contenders for other titles such as the Tag Team Championships and potentially the Middle-earth Championship. And of course, don't forget, we are just over 2 months away, or roughly 2 months away, I should say, from MAW Madness, taking place May 18th and 19th from Soldier Field. Thank you very much for joining me. I am MAW General Manager, I can talk, Johnny Gomez, and I will see you tonight in Colorado Springs, Colorado.